Here's even a bigger one of those. The NRA, the nation's largest gun lobby, has faced harsh criticism since last week's mass shooting at a high school in Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were killed, including students. Dwayne Caraway, mayor pro tem of Dallas, said the NRA has a responsibility, quote, to address the madness now, unquote, and he called on the group to help establish better gun laws, according to a report by ABC World News Tonight that Ricketts shared on his Twitter account. And that's where Governor Ricketts sent out the call to NRA. Come to our state, we got too many kids anyway. Although I'm against abortion, these women still having too many babies. Really, I wish they all abort. They're a drain on the treasury. The parents are sick. Single woman can't get a job and make any money, so she's on ADC. They have to go to the nutrition supplement program. Get them out of here. I believe what Jonathan Swift believed when he's talking about the Irish, pestiferous people. The thing to do and solve two problems at one time is to attack hunger in some places, to cater to the exotic tastes of the rich in others, and to reduce the surplus population by cooking Irish children, boiling, frying, fricassee, roasting, baking, and he called it a modest proposal. That's the governor, your governor. He wants the organization that is pushing the kind of attitude that will result in the killing of education per se. He wants to cut aid to the university. Because if the young people learn how to think, then when they get 18, they might vote as intelligent people should. Going back to what I was wanting to get into the record. At the hour of his death, I used to hear on the radio all the time, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, blessed art thou among women, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus, and to be with us at the hour of our death. Timor mortis conturbat me. You know what that translates to? The fear of death is upon me. Not McVey. Not McVey. At the hour of his death, McVey will not crack. He has invested too much time, energy, planning, and thought into how he shall shuffle off this mortal coil. And he has managed masterfully to draw the whole world into the play. He has managed to create a set of circumstances in which the government of the USA and many groups and individuals who complain about the amount of publicity he is receiving all contribute to that very publicity by endlessly giving public vent to their feelings and opinions. Like it or not, Timothy McVey and his execution are a happening. If it is indeed a circus, he is the ringmaster. If it is a show, he is the producer/director, the laughing ghost. Timothy McVeigh's laughing ghost will take great delight in his triumph over the government of the USA and his assorted enemies. I repeat, he will not crack. As his life is wrested from his body, why will he not crack? He has convinced himself that for this purpose came he into the world. He will die better than did Christ, who, although well aware of his job, begged, let this cup pass from me, then cried out during his execution, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? No wavering or crying out by McVey. And his haters will be infuriated thereby. Who will have won? McVeigh's ghost may be able to stop laughing long enough to thank the government of the USA, without whose help he would have been consigned to the ranks of those demented loonies who might be mentioned from time to time when great crimes are brought up. But he never would have assumed the status, the stature, and looming magnitude which inevitably will be bestowed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Chambers, you are next in the queue. This is your third time. Your next will be your close.
So I have this time then closed?
Correct.
Thank you. But he never would have assumed the stature and magnitude which inevitably will be bestowed by his martyrdom at the bloody hands of the government of the USA, which itself is implicated in horrendous crimes at home and abroad, on land, sea, and in the air, during war and peace. As a black man, I harbor many bitter memories of brutal atrocities against mine own people, perpetrated by the government of the USA and its agents. The government's hands are far from clean. If one applies Jesus' rule that stones are to be cast only by those without sin, the government of the USA could not execute Timothy McVey. Yet, I take no pleasure in the terrible deed that McVey committed. Why not? He did not strike at the government. He surreptitiously, like a sneak thief, attacked unsuspecting, unoffending civilians, including babes and children. With all of his brave posturing and cold talk about military jargon, McVey violated a cardinal principle of, quote, civilized warfare, unquote. I know that's an oxymoron. Civilian targets and non-combatant civilians are off limits. Therefore, had he done his deed even in the context of a war, it would qualify as a war crime, and he as a war criminal. Even in war, there are lines which are not to be crossed. McVey obliterated those lines. Execution protocol. The process and procedures involved in state killing are macabre and dehumanizing to all who participate, the official killers as well as the condemned prisoner. Having spent considerable time during their last days with the 3 men executed in Nebraska, I had the chance to observe everything and everybody. I did not witness an execution itself, but I accompanied 2 of the men into the death chamber because they desired that I do so, and to make sure that nothing in the way of inappropriate conduct was engaged in by the state killers. The entire ritual was nauseating. In McVey's case, the government of the USA has produced a 54-page, quote, execution protocol, unquote, designed to script, step by baby step, the killing of the condemned man. The script writers covered his last meal, his last words, and the disposition of his corpse following the procedure. Because of the possibility of protests that may get out of hand, including the remote possibility of protests that may be attempted as a cover for a break-in/breakout to rescue McVey, a special command center will be set up inside the prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, where the festivities will unfold. There's even the fear in official circles that a copycat act of bombing may be unleashed by anti-government lunatics or deranged sympathizers of McVey. Bearing out what I said above, in connection with Nebraska executions, the protocol warns the staff of killers to, quote, prevent emotion or intimidation from hindering efforts to carry out assigned duties, unquote. The official killers are instructed to, quote, conduct themselves at all times in a manner reflecting the solemnity and sensitivity of this occasion, unquote. That's a laugh. The occasion simply is one of the government imitating the murderer, as in Nebraska, and I will stop here and resume when I'm recognized to close.
Senator Chambers, there's no one else wishing to speak. You're welcome to close.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm meditating what my next move should be. Should I offer the kind of amendment or motion I've got to do something. And I'm aware my time is running, Mr. President. Had I been able to finish, I wouldn't have to make another motion, but I've got to get all of this done. For this purpose came I to the legislature today. Continuing. As in Nebraska, and probably every state which officially, ceremonially, and ritualistically kills people, the protocol establishes a, quote, countdown period, unquote, similar to that associated with launching a spacecraft. In addition to selecting, quote, the chosen ones, unquote, who will be privileged to watch the procedure up close and personal through a window in the wall of the death chamber, the warden will select the official poisoners and their alternates in case any one of them experiences a failure of nerve or an attack of humanity. Thank you, Mr. President.
For us is the adoption of FA 107 to strike the enacting clause in LB 758E. All those in favor, please vote aye. All those opposed, vote.
I would like us to check in, and then I want a roll call vote.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Would all the senators please return to their desks and check in?